Hey guys, welcome. It's Nikki Free. Oh, the verses. Monica versus Brandy. Brandy versus Monica. Whichever way you want to see it. Um, the verses was good. It was good, I will say. There was a lot that happened in this verses that was just interesting, to say the least. Um, you know, I was looking forward to this because these girls, I grew up listening to these girls, and I feel like they both are very talented. I think they both have a great catalog, and I think they both are individual artists who have their own separate type of sound. I don't think it's something that should be compared. I think they both can be great within the same space. And it was just really good to see them. I just want to start off with that. It was good to see them together, side by side. It brought back so many memories. Brandy, Monica, they were just so big in the 90s. And what a great thing they did for the culture coming together like this. Now, there was a lot of speculation after the verses. Of course, if you watched it, you saw there was some tension. And it was weird because I feel like the first half, things were pretty smooth. Like it wasn't a lot of tension. I feel like in the beginning it was okay. But it gradually, I started to pick up on some tension. And thinking back, I'm thinking probably it was because of little small passive aggressive things that were happening that kind of built up to Monica being somewhat annoyed. That's the only thing I can think of. Or perhaps maybe that's just her personality. I don't know. But I do know that it was a lot. There were parts of this whole verses. I felt like Brandy was kind of putting 20 on 10. I felt like Brandy was doing a lot. But at the same time, it's it was, they were there to entertain, so I get it. Monica was a lot more reserved, especially towards the end, and Brandy, she just kind of seemed like she was at least acting like she was enjoying herself, at least giving off that she was enjoying herself. At some parts she overdid it a little bit, but hey. So as far as the beginning, they came out and, I saw the two chairs. I was expecting a surprise, like something to happen where they weren't sitting at the chairs and then they were going to pull the curtain back and then there was going to be them just standing there and they were going to sing. I don't know. I expected something else, but nevertheless, they just sat there in those chairs, which that's fine. But, the first thing I noticed, of course, and I'm sure a lot of people, was the attire. Now, there was the natural style, the person who just has natural style. And we all know people like that. There are some people, they can put on a paper bag. I'll give you an example. To me, a person like that is like Rihanna. I feel like Rihanna can put on almost anything and look fantastic. She just has a great sense of style. And there are other people who need a stylist to kind of, put them together. They're just frumpy looking. They just don't have it. They just don't have a sense of style, really. And it just is what it is. It's just something that some people have and some people don't. It just is what it is. Brandy, I feel, does not have a great sense of style on her own. However, I have seen Brandy look so good and so well put together. I think when whoever her stylist is or whenever she uses a stylist, I think she looks fantastic. I think Brandy is more of a natural, like earthier type person, kind of on the line of a Lisa Bonet. But then again, Lisa Bonet, I feel she embodies the whole natural thing a little bit better. I feel like when she wears that stuff, it's expected and it works for her a little bit better. She does a little bit better job of putting it together, if you will. Brandy, I don't know what the hell was going on with that outfit Brandy had on. That looked like some type of patchwork jacket. She had on those jeans with a little bit of patchwork, and then they were kind of ripped, and they just looked... I don't know if she was trying to look like she was in the 90s, trying to do a throwback to the 90s. I did not get the shoes. I hated the shoes. I'm not sure if Brandy's shoes, she was trying to wear the same like white shoes as Monica. Monica, I don't get what she was doing with those shoes. I really don't. And the whole outfit, it just had me confused. I didn't get it. I didn't like it. I love the hair, although I do like Brandy better with black hair. But I did like her braids. I always like her braids. Brandy is the queen of braids. And of course, her face looked beautiful. You know, Brandy's a beautiful woman, and she's aging very well. She looks very young. Moving on to Monica. Monica looked like she looked like she had a look. She had a look. Monica looked fantastic sitting down. I felt like she just looked very well put together. I'm not sure if the outfit was constricting, but at some point she did look a little stiff, you know, during the performance. During the verses. So I don't know if the outfit was, uncomfortable. Brandy was a little bit looser, maybe because her outfit was, very baggy and loose and comfortable. I don't know. But I will say that Monica's look looked a lot better than what Brandy was working with. And it's not even that they were competing on looks, but, I mean, it is what it is. We have eyes. We see. There was a distinct difference in the style, as far as who looked more put together. And I feel like Brandy could have had an earthy look, and it still would have been very nice if it would have just been put together better. If that makes sense. I don't think you have to come out with Fendi or Gucci or some type of name brand for it to look, well put together. I feel like you can come out with whatever and look good. But I just think Brandy could have done better than what she came out there with. But, if she like it, I love it. Then there's, but back to Monica. I just want to say, Monica's outfit, I was raving and raving and raving about Monica's outfit. And then I saw a close-up picture of the outfit with her standing up. And I'm like, this outfit, I feel like I've been almost catfished. The outfit was nothing like it was when she was sitting down, I felt. It looked so different when she stood up. But either way, it was still better. It was still the best outfit of the night. But I don't know. When she stood up, it just looked totally different. It looked, I don't know. Moving on. So I did like that they had the little talk. They had a little talk about, the past. I'm glad they addressed the elephant in the room. Everybody knows Brandy and Monica didn't get along in the back of the day. And they said that they hadn't seen each other in 8 or 9 years. So clearly they still weren't really feeling each other. They weren't hanging out or anything. Within the last almost decade. So there's that. They addressed it. They said basically Monica was pushing for them to be there together, them two together. And Brandy was saying how like she wished, I guess Missy could have been there. And then Monica kept stressing that Missy wanted them there, specifically those two to be there looking at each other eye to eye. And that was really touching because it's true. The fact that, and if not for COVID and 2020 and all that has happened, who knows if we would have ever seen these two ladies together like this, come together. Like everything happens for a reason. And it's like, it's a perfect storm. This versus thing was like the perfect thing to bring them together. And that's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. I loved seeing them together. And it was quite touching that Monica, who has worked with both of them, feels the need to, really, really wanted them to be together like that. So I thought that was great. I also liked that, well, I shouldn't say like, I also found it interesting that Brandy brought up, oh, so that's why you came because of Monica. Because of Missy. In my mind, I'm thinking that Monica, because Monica has said this in the past, that she did not want to do verses. Monica has came out and said she didn't want to do the verses in the past. So it is in my opinion that they had a hard time getting Monica there. I don't think it was an easy feat getting Monica there. I think Brandy was probably a lot more on board than Brandy was. I think Brandy was more on board than Monica was initially. I think Monica came. I feel like they probably got a cute little check cut. I don't know, but it just seems like I feel in my spirit there was some kind of check cut and, Monica came on out. But I I don't know. I do feel like that there was some kind of something there with Monica coming, and it wasn't an easy feat. But nevertheless, she came for the culture, which was great. And I don't know. I don't know. When, and I say this too because when Brandy said, "Oh, so that's why you came," I guess because of you know, Missy, and Monica immediately said, don't do me like that. Don't do me. No, don't do that." You know, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. There's something there. There was something there because there definitely was tension. So there's something there that something happened. There's more to this whole, getting together, but hey, they put their differences aside and they got together. So I guess at the end of the day, they did the important thing. Also, I wanted to touch on the fact that both of these ladies, guys, have been through a lot. There is still some brokenness there. So again, for two people who have been through so much to come and sit down together, both dealing with their own issues, internally that they have, separate from, each other, and not to mention dealing with whatever they had in the past, for them to come and sit together, that took a lot. And regardless of the tension, I feel like overall, with taking everything into consideration, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. And Monica, I feel like Monica has been through so many things, and I still see when I know she even admitted that she's a very emotional person. She's full of emotions. I think Monica does lead with her emotions. I feel like I see a lot of myself in Monica because I am that person. If I don't like you, I can't. I can't do it. My whole mood is off. If someone's around that I don't like, it's hard for me to fake it. It's hard for me to have a good time. Like the energy from that person, it really affects like how I move within that space when they're there. If that makes sense. I cannot really be myself. I can never let down my guard and have a good time when there's someone around that I don't like or who has done me harm, that has done something that I know they have maliciously done something towards me. So I get, I feel like Monica is kind of like, she's very emotional, which a lot of us are. And I think that's where you see a lot of the facial expressions and things like that. Because keep in mind, throughout the whole verses, Brandy was doing little kind of passive aggressive things. Even though Brandy had a big smile on her face, there were moments where she was doing little things that could have annoyed Monica. Like there was a point where Brandy was saying, I was kicking down doors, I was doing this, just talking about her past, like how she basically used to be a gangster. In so many words. And Brandy said, yeah, I was one of them. And Monica was like, what? No, you weren't. And see, that's going to, and you could just tell Monica was annoyed because she was like, I didn't kick your door down. But there is like rumors that there was some type of altercation with her and Brandy. But she didn't kick Brandy's door in. So it's just, when Brandy said, yeah, I was one of them kind of thing, I feel like Monica felt that was like a personal attack on her character and it would make her look bad. And I don't know, it seemed like she took that personally because after that was said, that's when I noticed a little tension started to kind of build and build and build. And I noticed Monica being a little bit more stiff. I noticed Monica not singing as much. I noticed Monica just slowly just being just not as engaging, if you will. So it was just those little moments like that. There were little moments like that continued to happen. I know there was a moment when Brandy made a comment that her acapella, wasn't as high, isn't very high or something like that. And Monica was like, no, it is, basically like complimenting her. And Brandy was like, no, it's not. And they kind of kept going on and on about Brandy's voice. And it just seemed like they both were kind of getting annoyed with each other, and especially Brandy like, no, my voice is not this way, etc., etc. I don't know. That was like a weird moment too, where you could just tell there was just a little tension, and it just kept building from those little banters that they were having back and forth about certain little things. And I think, like I said, it just built up. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I think they're both dealing with a lot of past trauma that has happened to them. And especially Monica. I know Brandy had the car accident thing where someone had passed away. That was a lot too to deal with. And I know Monica has had a lot of issues with men, in her life also. She has spoken about her dad, like when she went to go stay with her dad as a child. It was a rougher neighborhood, and she experienced a lot of things. She witnessed a lot of things that a lot of people wouldn't witness, so a lot of traumatic things. But then she had her mom who was like a Christian, and there was, it was a better neighborhood, and, she just lived like kind of two different lives. But at the same time, she was exposed to a lot at a young age. Monica, and Brandy, I think they're a work in progress. I think they can, they're in their 40s now. I mean, they look good, they look great, and it's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, they're in their 40s now. So, for them, it would definitely have to be a work in progress, because a lot of times people get to a certain age and they're kind of set in their ways. So, we'll see. But I think, like I said, both ladies have been through a lot, and there's still some brokenness there, period. Monica, when it comes to the songs, I know. Let's talk about the songs, guys. I know everyone has their favorites. We all have our favorites that we love when it comes to the music. And for me, I was satisfied with what they both gave us. I feel like they both gave us the songs that we absolutely loved. I feel like they gave us those bangers that we really wanted to hear for sure. And then I like that they sprinkled in, some of the newer stuff. I like that because I hadn't heard, there were several songs that I had never heard before, and it was good to hear them. So that gives me an idea of if I want to go listen and support their new music or not. I do like Monica's new song with Lil Baby. I think, they both still have it. You know what I mean? Even with their new stuff. So we're always talking about we want to hear some good music. We want to hear some good R&B music. A lot of times you forget about the old faves, and, people aren't really supporting them the way they should. So I'm glad they played that. So maybe it will help some people to go and support them. Anyway, listen, I feel like that first half, the first 5 songs, definitely to me, it was Monica. Like round 1, it was, What About Us, which, again, they were in Monica's hometown of Atlanta. So Monica said she was going to give her Southern hospitality and let Brandy go first. So it was What About Us, and then for Brandy, and then Everything to Me is what Monica did. And then round 2, Brandy did He Is, and then Monica did A Dozen Roses. Round 3, Brandy did Full Moon, which, okay, come on, Brandy. She started kind of opening, coming through a little bit. And then Monica came through with the So Gone, and it was just like, okay. Round 1, I Want to Be Down. Okay, Brandy started coming with a little fire. And then Monica came with the Don't Take It Personal, and then that's it, Round 5, Baby. Brandy, that was a hit. And then Monica came with the Like This and Like That, and I'm just like, I was Monica all the way. So I feel like the first half, definitely Monica all the way. Definitely Monica all the way. Definitely. I forgot about that song, Like This and Like That. I used to love that song. And, so I feel like from round 1 to round 5, things were pretty good. They were like, singing. Monica was singing more. Brandy, they were like moving. They were talking back and forth. And the chemistry seemed okay. Monica, I'm sorry. I keep getting their names mixed up. Brandy Brandy was pushing that concert. Brandy wanted a concert with Monica. She was basically begging, like, look at these numbers. Let's do a concert. Which, oh my God, if they did a concert, I don't even really care about concerts anymore like that, personally. But honestly, like, that's a concert I wouldn't mind seeing. You know, Brandy versus Monica. I mean, not Brandy versus Monica, Brandy and Monica. I think it would be great, but it would be tough because I just think it would be a lot for them to come together, have an agreement. I mean, who's going to go on first? Who's going to go? I just feel like it would be a lot of catty stuff. I think they would really have to put their big girl panties on and be really, really, really mature about it for that to work. So I'm not sure how that would work, but listen, I'm telling you right now, the fans would be here for it. They have, what's so fantastic about them is the range in ages that love them. They have the 20-somethings, the 30-somethings, the 40-somethings, and the 50-somethings that love them. You know, because just a lot of their music is so timeless. A lot of people can relate to them. You know, it's like they look like us. You know, you're looking at them, it's like, oh, they look like me. You know, like, and they're beautiful, they're successful, and you know, I don't know. They have this youthful thing about them that keeps them still relevant to the young kids too. So I don't know. I just feel like that would be a sold out tour if they did do it. I think it would be very successful. However, Monica's response was, we just got here today, basically saying, girl, we just started talking, baby steps. You know, Monica was not here for the tour. She did not, but Brandy was 100% on board to do the tour right now. Brandy was on board. She was all about that. And I think Monica is thinking about the emotional side of it and just, you know, what she would go through and, you know, how she feels it would impact her. And I think Brandy is solely thinking of it from a business standpoint and the money that they would make and all of that. I feel like Brandy's thinking of it from more of that side, you know? So I don't know. I think it's definitely something that is worth considering if they can make it work, you know? They may end up being enemies after the tour, but they sure would make a lot of money and make a lot of people happy. And that is after we ever get to a point where we can do concerts, you know. They could do something, I guess, like a virtual concert. Even that would be good too, you know. That could be something that maybe it'll be a little easier for them to do, like a virtual something. Either way, I think they would get a big, big, big turnout. But we'll see how that goes. I don't see Monica agreeing to that anytime soon. But, you know, hey, look, we got the verses, so who knows? Now, Monica, you know, she talked about C Murder, of course. Of course. This is this girl's first love. She's saying how she never stopped loving him. And Monica met this man when she was 16, I guess. And he was an adult. I don't know. He was like in his 20s. Let me say this about that situation. There's nothing like your first love. It can be fantastic, it can be beautiful, or it can be really dangerous, devastating, what have you, depending on how it goes and who your first love is. But a first love is something that is tough because you never had all those emotions before. You don't know what to do with them, etc., etc. And you generally do love, you know, kind of always love your first love because that was your first everything, unless something traumatic happened and you guys had some type of devastating breakup. So I understand that a lot of people are talking about the age difference. In the 90s was such a different time than today, and this is not at all justifying anything, any type of behavior, or saying anything is right when it comes to that type of thing. But let me just tell you, when I was in high school, there were a lot of people, men, I saw coming up to the high school, picking up their girlfriends. And those men were 21, 22, 23, what have you. you know? And I talked to a lot of girls who had, boyfriends. They were like 16, 17, 15 sometimes. And their boyfriends were picking them up, and they were older guys. For some reason in the 90s, this was not as frowned upon, I feel, or people didn't make as big of a deal about it, as they do today. Now it's more recognized. And now even a lot of the issues that happened, a lot of the people who experienced it in the 90s, or, experienced things in the 90s, they're coming out because they can today. Back then it was like more, I feel like it was more commonplace or something, or people just weren't as, outraged about it from what I can remember. I mean, I was young myself, but I'm just saying from what I can remember, I don't feel like people made as big of a deal about it. So I think that's why too, that, all these people were able to date these younger people, I guess. Because nowadays, let me tell you something. Anybody in their 20s, if they come out with a 16-year-old, good luck. You're like 25 and you come out with a 16-year-old, you're going to get Twitter, Instagram, Twitter, they're going to eat you alive. Not to mention people are going to try to make sure that something happens legally, So nowadays it's definitely not tolerated or accepted. But in the 90s, they were a different time. And that's really the only way I can put it. There was a lot of stuff going on in the 90s that just was not looked at as, I don't know if you could say it was overlooked or just wasn't really looked at as big of a deal as it is today. Today, it definitely would not fly. Most of the stuff that was going on in the 90s. So that is why, those types of things were occurring. Not to say they still aren't occurring, but now they definitely are occurring more secretively than they would have been like in, say, the 90s. And, you guys saw the interviews, a lot of times with older artists and these young artists. And it was like, oh, they had a little thing and it was cute. And what? There was a lot of artists. Check your faves, a lot of your faves who were with people that were very young. So yeah, but anyway, we could go on and on about that all day, but the 90s were a different time. So with that said, she talked about how, her first love, basically she never got over C Murder. And yeah, I mean, that's her man, I guess. It is what it is. So now she kind of hinted to where she was in the middle of kind of something. And Brandy kind of cut her off, and was like, well, you don't want to say too much or something like that. Let's go ahead and just play the song, and kind of cut her off. I feel like she was going to say that she was entertaining him, Corey. I do. I kind of feel like she was going to say that she was entertaining him, but Brandy kind of like interrupted a little bit. She did, voice how she wanted to free him. She made sure to put that little plug in. So, I mean, she's standing by her man. That's her first love. And seemingly, she wants to be with this guy. That's what it's seeming like. Now, I'm just, in my mind, he's been in for like, what, 2 decades? That's a very long time. And I'm just thinking about, okay, he has to get out, get reacclimated into society. He has to, there's a lot that this man has to do when he does get out. And, if he gets out, I know they are fighting very hard to get him out. They have Kim Kardashian involved now and all of that. But I don't know, just considering that everything he's been through, and does she think that this is going to be someone that he's just going to get out and it's going to be a fairy tale and they're going to live happily ever after? I'm thinking that's how she sees it. I'm thinking that it's exactly how she sees how things are going to go. According to her, she's been in contact with him always. She's always been there for him. It seems she has strong feelings for him. I don't know what I think about that. I just feel like, I don't know. I have to wait and see what happens. I want to say they could be just good friends, but I just deeply feel that for her in her heart, she sees more. and she sees more of like a relationship with this man. And I don't know what that's going to look like, and even if it's going to look the way she thinks it's going to look. And that's all I have to say. I mean, someone's been on lockdown for 20 years. I mean, you don't know what type. They're not necessarily going to be the exact same person you knew when you were dating them at 16 or when you knew them back in the day. So yeah, we have to see how this is all going to play out. I find it very interesting. I do wish, Monica the best. I like Monica, but I just think she's kind of, I don't know. I have no idea. But moving on, Brandy, Brandy wants to tour. Brandy, she pulled another stunt. During the verses, where I think was another one of the little things that kind of annoyed Monica, she started doing this a cappella moment with The Change Is Going to Come. Now, that is a song that is an old song. I've heard this song on movies. I feel like this is a song that people are familiar with, but I don't think everybody necessarily knows every word to this song. And I feel like, too, Monica wanted to make sure that, Brandy could have rehearsed her part in singing the song. I don't know. Brandy just came out and started singing it out of the blue and told Monica that she can join in. Now, Monica either didn't join in because she was already annoyed by the other things that Brandy had said, or because she didn't feel like, she could sing the song properly, or she didn't feel like she knew the words to the song, or whatever the case may be. Monica didn't sing the song, For me, if I'm betting on, if I could single out one thing, I think Monica didn't like the way she was put on the spot to sing the song. I feel like Monica has a great voice and she probably could sing it, if she wanted to, but I don't think she liked the way Brandy kind of like put her on the spot. It's like, I think Monica was thinking, if you want to sing this song, you sing the song. Don't drag me into it. If I want to sing something, I'll sing it. We didn't talk about this before, so why are you dragging me in this kind of thing, And I think that sounds like what possibly it could have been. I don't know. Either way, Brandy kept asking Monica to join in, and Monica did not. Monica said, this is your moment. You have it, girl. So there was that. And like I said, these little things between them, these little spits, these little banters, or whatever you want to call it, these little things, they kept happening throughout the verses. And you gradually saw that there became a little bit more tension. And that was my take on it. Second half came. They took a little break. Well, first they played Monica's song, one of Monica's songs. And before they went on break, I liked the song. And yeah, it was a good song. And then they left. They went on their little break. And they came back for the second round and they were like, let's have some fun. Let's, keep it fun the second half. And I felt like it was okay, It was okay. And then Brandy came out with Angel in Disguise. Great song. And then that's when Monica started talking about, C Murder. And, she started talking about just, I guess like her being, in the middle of, or am I forgetting? You know what? I don't even remember exactly. Now I'm kind of like losing my spacing on when they talked about certain things. But I feel like she was talking about, although you should have known better, she was talking about her first love for sure. And she was talking about how the song was right before, it seemed like it was right before maybe C Murder went to jail. I guess, I don't know. They were kind of like talking, but not really in code, but not just really plainly at some points. So it was like, yeah, Monica was talking about Corey, and then she played Should Have Known Better. And then Brandy came through with the Missing You, and Monica came through with the For You I Will. Listen, Monica has some good songs. She just does, The Missing You was sad because Brandy started it off with, a lot of the people that have passed away, and she listed all of them. And, of course, the song came on. The song is sad. And then Monica came with the For You I Will. Then round 8, Almost Doesn't Count. People love that song. And then Why I Love You So Much, Monica. I'm still Monica with the win, for me. Just still. I'm still Monica. For me, the songs Monica played, I'm still Monica is in the lead. Round 9, Broken Hearted. Oh, I love that song. That is such a beautiful song. Beautiful, 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 beautiful song. And Monica played Love All Over Me. And then the last round, Top of the World. And then Monica played Down for My Ends. I feel like that was round 10. Now on that one, that round 6 through 10, it was for me, just because, let me tell you, just because that Why I Love You So Much, oh my God, that is one of my favorites. I remember listening to that song over and over and over and over. Oh my God, I've listened to that song so many times. I love that song. Why I Love You. It's just, I can't live without you, baby. I love that song. I love it. 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 And I also love For You I Will. Those two songs alone for me, oof. That was tough. I still had to give it to Brandy, I do, just because even with the other songs that, they played, I'm just weighing them out. The other songs they played, Broken Hearted, I got to give that to Brandy, but that was, yeah, I still have to give it to Monica. Brandy still had some hits on that, but I got to give it to Monica. Then they came through with, Monica came through with, some of these songs, I can't lie, I had never heard them before. I think I mentioned that earlier. They still sounded good, but I wasn't as familiar with them. But round 11, we had Borderline from Brandy, Still Standing from Monica. And then Brandy came through with Love Again, Monica Commitment. No, I'm going the wrong way. Hold on. That's not right. It went, hold on a second. That's not right. It's the other way. It was Monica, Borderline, and then Brandy, Still Standing, and then Monica, Love Again, Brandy, Commitment, Monica, Slow, and then round 13, Monica, Slow Jam, Brandy, Put It Down, Monica, The First Night, and then Brandy, Who Is She to You, and then Brandy, Knock Knock, and then Brandy, Best Friend, and then she did a little of the Moesha. I'm going to give that round 11 through 15. I'm going to give it to Brandy because, listen, let me tell you something. That Best Friend, yes, ma'am. That song, it gives me chills. Just because the love between her and Ray J that they have, it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. And I just remember I watched the video the other day, them doing that little dance together in that video. I'm going to give that round to Brandy, just because a lot of the songs in that round 11 through 15, I wasn't familiar with a lot of those songs either. So I just felt like they both did a good job, but I'm just going to go ahead and just off the strength of which one of the non-known songs I like the best, I'll give it to Brandy in that round. Then round 16, we back with Monica, Before You Walk Out of My Life. And then Brandy, Sitting Up in My Room. That was a tough round. They both came out swinging. Because let me tell you something about sitting up in my room. I feel like that song changed my life. That song, you guys, that is the song. How can one be down? Tell me when to stop. Yes, Brandy. I love that song. I can listen to that song over and over again. I think that's one of my favorite Brandy songs. That Sitting Up in My Room. She did the damn thing on that one. And then Before You Walk Out of My Life. Oh my God, it's such a beautiful song too. That was such a tough round. But round 16, I got to give it to Brandy just because Sitting Up in My Room. That song, I love it. I absolutely love that song. And then we came back with Every Time the Beat Drop by Monica, and then Talk About Our Love, Brandy. And then Monica did Sideline Ho. And then Monica did Sideline Ho. And then Brandy came through with the Put That On Everything. And then Monica came through with the Trust. And then Brandy, Impossible When You Touch Me. Monica, Have You Ever? I'm sorry, Brandy, Have You Ever? And then Monica, Angel of Mine. Dang, that was a tough round. That round, they came with guns blazing, 16 through 20. Damn, they came with it, because I feel like, to be honest with you, that Before You Walk Out of My Life and the Sitting Up in the Room is really a tie. But I just love that song, Sitting Up in the Room. But that's really a tie. Come on now. And then also, the round 20, Have You Ever? An Angel of Mine. Come on. Breaks you apart inside. Yes. That Have You Ever? That's tough. That Have You Ever, you guys, let me tell you something. That was a tough one. And then the Angel of Mine. I love Angel of Mine, but I think I like, the thing about it is with this, I would say my top 3 Brandy songs is number 1, Sitting Up in My Room, number 2, Have You Ever, and then number 3 would be Best Friend. So what Monica, even though I feel like overall I liked more of the songs that Monica played, in that round 16 through 20, Brandy got me because she got 2 of my favorite songs of hers in that round. She came through. But I can't, I just have to say it's a tie on that round. Because both of when it comes to the strength of the song, strong, both of them. Strong. It was that was tough. And then after that, they played The Boy Is Mine. And then that's where you kind of saw that Monica, had gradually just got fed up. And then by the time they got to The Boy Is Mine, Monica wasn't giving nothing. She wouldn't sing. She had the mic. She was social distancing with the microphone because the microphone was nowhere near her mouth. She was just kind of like barely going through the motions. I don't know what happened, but it seemed like something had annoyed her at that point. She wouldn't sing to save her life at that point. She's like, I'm not singing, And Brandy got up. She was just moving and singing and having a good time. But I feel like Monica seemed to be over it. Brandy, she seemed like Brandy seemed like she was doing a lot. I think with those damn poems. I forgot to throw that in. It's like, Brandy, girl, this is not the end of Moesha where you're writing in your damn diary and, all of that. We could have done without that. This verses was 3 hours long. I watched the entire thing. I came at 5. I left at 8:01. And they put in some work. They put in some hours of time that they were there with us. It was very pleasing to sit there. Although it was 3 hours, it didn't seem like it because I was entertained the entire time. When they took a break, I took my break. So, you know, that didn't bother me that they took their little break because I went and, you know, did some things that I needed to do while they were on break. So it was, I thought overall, it was a great versus. They had 1.1 million people in the verses. And then even when they went on break, I think it went down. But I think it went down to like 945,000 or 900. Yeah, I think it was like 945,000. It went down to when they went on break. But as soon as they came back, it shot right back up to 1.1 million. Or maybe 1.2. Was it 1.1? It was 1.1 or 1.2 million that they ended up getting up to. They may have actually ended up getting up to 1.2 at one point. But I know they had 1.1 million for sure for a consistent time. And it just shows that they are in demand. The fans love them. Love, 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 love them. And I think they're still very much so still relevant. I am so happy that they came together. It was so great. It brought back so many memories. And we love them. We love Brandy. We love Monica. There was a little bit of controversy with Carisha from the City Girls. I'm going to say this in closing. I feel like Monica... If you look at Monica's Instagram, Monica has double the following of, pretty much double the following of Brandy. Monica, I feel, because she's from Atlanta, I feel like Monica is more in tune with the people. You know, she kind of still has that, she's still, like she's working with Lil Baby. I think she still has more of a today's people who still, you know, like mess with her, if you will. She has 9 million followers on Instagram, Monica. That's gone up because she had 8 something, you know, before. Of course, after the verses, they always gain a bunch of followers. Brandy, when I checked, I think she had like 4 or something. I know it was like half. Yeah. So Brandy still has like 4.5 million. So Monica is still very much so. Monica has a very large following on Instagram. So Monica is still kind of like out there. Being in Atlanta, being from Atlanta, I think she's she's in I don't even know. Still in the circles with a lot of the people that are out now. You know, a lot of artists are from Atlanta, or there's a lot of big artists from Atlanta, and a lot of people are doing big things in Atlanta, and I think Monica's still kind of like in that circle. So, maybe perhaps that's how she knows, she maybe like works with someone who worked with someone who knew Carisha. I don't know, or she may have known Carisha from someone else. I have no idea. But she spoke about Carisha. And how Carisha asked her to play some songs and how she would only be able to play the one song. And Brandy made the comment, who is Carisha? Now, some people kind of tried to make a big deal about that. If someone just randomly says Carisha, I mean, Brandy is 41 years old. And Brandy, I'm not sure if Brandy, is really like on into certain things like someone who is 20 or 30 may be. I'm not sure if she listens to the City Girls. I'm not sure how familiar she is with the City Girls. I'm sure Brandy knows who the City Girls are. But sometimes when you're not familiar with a person, you only know them by their like stage name, like Young Miami. So when Monica said the City Girls, she's from the City Girls, Young Miami, Brandy immediately knew. But Young Miami made a comment and she said, "Oh, that's okay, Brandy. I only know 2 of your songs and whatever, so we're even." People kind of took that as she was kind of shading Brandy. Some people thought, people were trying to make it a thing. I don't think it was a thing either way. I honestly feel like Brandy absolutely did not know who the person she was talking about because of the way Monica said it too. Monica just out of the blue said, "Well, I was talking to Carisha." Carisha could have been her cousin. No one know, it's not like she said, "I was talking to Beyonce." That would be different. But she said, the way she said it, it was she could have been talking about anybody basically. So I think that was not, I think that was kind of blown out of proportion. I really, really, really do. I don't think that immediately it should have been kind of like a thing. And I feel like Carisha, she did go on and kind of squash it and say, no, I was just joking when I said that about Brandy. And I did notice that Carisha kept posting songs that she wanted to hear Brandy. She kind of like tried to smooth it over. I don't think it's a thing. I feel like now it's like people just jump on anything. One, we're living in a time where everyone is so damn sensitive. Like everything is looked at as, oh my God. Two, I feel like people are at home. We're in a quarantine. So people have time. They have nothing but time to nitpick everything. That was not a thing. It was nothing. Just move on. She didn't know who Carisha was. She knew Young Miami and she knew City Girls. That's the point. She knows who they are. She just didn't know that name. And everybody doesn't know. Everybody doesn't. It's not like they are Michael Jackson. Everybody doesn't know Carisha's name. They don't. Everyone doesn't know that that's Young Miami. Everyone doesn't know that. You have to kind of like listen to them, follow them and everything and kind of know who, really, really know them. Now, if she would have said Young Miami of the City Girls, Brandy wouldn't have said anything because, of course, she knows. So at the end of the day, she knows her. She just didn't know her government name at the end of the day. And that's not a big damn deal. But at any rate, so there was that, which is really nothing. And at the end of the day, guys, we got a treat. We got to witness something magical. We have to be, I'm thankful for that. I enjoyed that so much. Despite all the little tiffs and the little shenanigans, I really enjoyed it. I know people live for a good meme, after the Teddy Riley and Babyface versus, people are looking for the next meme. So it's fine. It's fine. And Monica gave us some. Don't get me wrong. Monica gave us some, faces that definitely are going to be memes and definitely have already been memes. But it's, it's fine. It's fine. They did. I'm glad the ladies came together for us. It was so good for the fans. I lived for every moment of it. And yeah, that's about it. Well, tell me what you guys think. Did you guys enjoy it? I don't know. I think I covered everything that I can think of on that versus. That's all I can think of. It was great. I mean, they're talented. It was great. There's nothing bad I can say as far as when it comes to talent goes with these ladies. A concert with them would be phenomenal, period. I'm just saying, just based on being able to hear two beautiful, talented ladies sing, that would just be a beautiful moment. Would love to see it. Don't know if it'll ever happen, but would love to see it. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Peace.